Hi everyone, welcome back to Frugal Watchbox channel. Today, we're looking at an affordable AND watch that might remind you of a certain iconic timepiece. This is the Skmei 2328, which I picked up for just $7. Yes, $7. At first glance, it bears a striking resemblance to the legendary CasiOak GA 2100 series, often called the CasiOak. It replicates the rugged, modern aesthetic with its rectangular case, rounded corners, and bold AND display. But, of course, for this price, you're not getting true shock resistance or 200 meters of water resistance like the real deal. So why did I buy it? Well, here at Frugal Watchbox, my mission is to explore affordable watches from all brands. Not just Casio or Q&Q, but also budget-friendly options from brands like Skmei. And the Skmei 2328 fits perfectly as a beater watch, something you can wear anywhere without worry. Whether you're working, traveling, or just out and about, this is the kind of watch you won't stress over if it gets scratched, lost, or even broken, because at just $7, you can always buy another one. So, is this a worthy budget alternative to the CasiOak, or just another cheap knockoff? Let's find out. Alright folks, let's dive into the unboxing of the Skmei 2328. First up, we have the packaging, minimalistic to say the least. It's basically a plastic enclosure that offers just enough protection to keep the watch intact. But hey, for $7, we can't expect a velvet-lined box, right? Now, let's free this timepiece from its plastic prison. And here it is. At first glance, it looks way more expensive than its price tag suggests. The design is sleek, and the build feels surprisingly solid. This watch didn't come in a box, just a simple plastic enclosure. However, it does include a user manual, which is actually pretty useful. It explains all the watch operations, including timekeeping mode, for actually telling the time, world time mode, because it's always nice to check the time in a country you'll probably never visit. Stopwatch mode, for those rare moments when you actually time something. Countdown mode, perfect for setting deadlines you'll ignore. Alarm mode, because we all need a reminder to wake up. H-set mode, manual hand setting, in case you want your analog and digital displays to sync up. Flip the manual over, and surprise, it's all in Chinese. So if you don't read Chinese, you'll either have to stick to the English side or just press buttons randomly until something works, which, let's be honest, is how most of us set digital watches anyway. Before we get into the nitty-gritty, let's remove the watch tag. It's a new Skmei tag featuring a red arrow pointing down and the tagline, "Just watch me." A bold statement for a budget watch, but I appreciate the confidence. It's like the watch is daring us to underestimate it. Now, let's carefully remove the plastic protective sticker from the case back. This particular model sports a negative display and a green band, giving it a rugged, military-esque vibe. Now let's talk dimensions. Case size, 44.8 millimeters. Lug to lug, 51.5 millimeters. Thickness, 14.3 millimeters. Lug width, 18 millimeters, similar to most Casio models. Weight, 43.9 grams. It's a substantial piece, almost mirroring the dimensions of the Casio GA 2100, which measures 48.5 by 45.4 by 11.8 millimeters. But here's the catch. It's actually lighter than the GA 2100, which weighs 51 grams. Why? Well, the Skmei 2328 lacks true shock resistance and only comes with 50 meters of water resistance instead of the 200 meters you'd find on a real G-Shock. That means you get the same tough guy look, but without the actual toughness. So, while it might not survive a hardcore adventure, it's a decent beater watch, lightweight, good-looking, and cheap enough that you won't cry if it gets lost, broken, or stolen. Sounds like a fair trade for $7, don't you think? Alright, let's get into the finer details of the buttons, dial, and display because, well, that's where all the action happens. The Skmei 2328 keeps things simple with a 4-button layout, just like most AnaDG watches. The 4 resin buttons are slim and elongated, featuring a textured surface for enhanced grip and easy accessibility. Right side, top button, toggles between start and stop functions. Bottom button, controls the split/reset function. Left side, top button, activates the backlight. And trust me, you'll need it for this negative display. Bottom button, cycles through the mode settings. The black matte case and bezel, as claimed by Skmei, are made of ABS plastic. The watch features a rectangular case with rounded corners, giving it a sleek yet rugged look. The raised bezel appears to be seamlessly integrated with the case, creating a layered, mini-case effect on top. Adding to its design, the bezel includes 4 decorative imitation screws, enhancing its industrial aesthetic. The black matte dial keeps up the stealthy aesthetic, but look closely and you'll find some interesting details. On the upper part of the dial, there are 4 fine, white lines sitting between the hour markers. Subtle, but they add a bit of depth. Speaking of hour markers, they appear to be buried slightly into the dial, creating a layered effect. Each marker is split into 2 colors, white on top, black on the bottom. Just below that, we get the new Skmei logo, featuring its distinctive red arrowhead pointing down, a bold little detail that gives the watch some character. The hour and minute hands are arrowhead-shaped but blunt at the tips, like someone took a sharp design and sanded it down for safety. They appear to have lume on the tips, though how bright it is remains to be seen. The rest of the hands are black with white lines, keeping them visible against the dial. Now let's talk about that negative digital display, because this is where things get a little tricky. On the left side, we have the day display, but here's the catch. It's really hard to see unless you point it directly at a light source or the sun. So if you're indoors, good luck. Instead of just showing the day in text, there's a digital pointer that moves to indicate the current day of the week. A cool touch, but again, visibility is an issue. Moving over to the 3 o'clock position, you'll see the word countdown imprinted in white, reminding you that this watch features a countdown timer. On the lower right, we have another dual panel display. Top panel shows hours and minutes in digital format. Bottom panel displays seconds. But depending on your settings and button presses, this area can also show the date, timer information, world time, and other settings. Speaking of world time, there's a world time imprint on the lower left, a feature that adds some extra functionality, especially if you like keeping track of multiple time zones. While the watch has a ton of visual appeal and some genuinely useful features, the negative display might be a deal breaker for some, especially if you're used to easy-to-read digital screens. But hey, for $7, we're getting a solid design and a surprising amount of functionality. Now let's talk about the strap, because a watch might look great, but if it's uncomfortable on the wrist, what's the point? The ABS resin band comes in a unique greenish-yellow color, which gives the watch a bit of personality. It's not your usual black or plain gray strap. It actually adds some contrast to the overall rugged aesthetic. Plus, it's got a sport imprint on the top band, just in case you forget that this watch is built for action, or at least it looks like it is. The strap feels a bit softer than a typical Casio G-Shock band, which is actually a good thing for comfort. Sometimes those super rigid resin straps can dig into your wrist, especially when new. This one, however, has a bit of flexibility to it. But, as always with budget watches, only time will tell how well it holds up. Will it stay soft and comfortable, or will it harden and crack over time? That's the real question. No worries about finding the perfect fit. The strap has plenty of holes, so whether you have a slim wrist or a chunkier one, you'll find a comfortable size. That's a nice touch, especially since some budget watches skimp on adjustability, leaving you stuck between a tight or too loose fit. The buckle looks like it's stainless steel, which is a good sign. However, as with the strap, only time will tell if it actually holds up or starts showing signs of rust or wear. The best part? It's branded with a Skmei logo, a small but appreciated detail. Some budget watches use plain, generic buckles, so seeing a little extra branding effort is always a plus. Overall, the strap and buckle seem decent for the price. Comfortable, flexible, and adjustable. But durability? We'll have to see how it holds up after some real-world use. Next, let's take a look at the case back. It features a stainless steel construction with the new Skmei logo engraved at the top, followed by the model number 2328, a 5-bar water resistance rating, and the battery code CR2016. The alarm seems pretty decent for this price point. I'd say it's comparable to a Casio G-Shock's alarm. Loud enough to wake you up, but not so loud that your neighbors file a noise complaint. So, unless you sleep like a hibernating bear, it should do the job. Next up, let's check out how this watch actually wears on the wrist. With its 44.8mm case, it definitely has a large presence on my tiny 6.5-inch wrist. It sits bold and unapologetic, making it clear that this is not a small, subtle timepiece. But you know what? Who cares? I like the watch, and that's what matters. Watch size is all about personal preference. If you love how it looks and feels on your wrist, that's all that counts. Some people get caught up in wrist-to-watch ratio rules, but at the end of the day, if you're happy wearing it, you're doing it right. Sure, it may have a bit of that wrist-dominating effect, but honestly, that just makes it more fun. Big, bold watches have their own charm. And let's not forget, even oversized watches were once considered too big until they became the trend. Plus, if anyone questions it, just tell them you're rocking the oversized G-Shock look on a budget. Despite its size, the watch actually wears comfortably. Thanks to the lightweight ABS case and softer strap, it doesn't feel like a brick strapped to my wrist. Unlike a true G-Shock, this one isn't packing extra weight from shock-resistant reinforcements, making it much easier to wear all day. So, if you're worried about it looking too big, don't be. If you like it, wear it. And if someone has a problem with that, well, they can go size their own watch. Alright, now that we've covered how it wears, let's dive into the features and performance. Now, let's check out one of the most underrated features of any watch, the Lume and backlight. Starting with the Lume, I have to say, I'm impressed. The hour and minute hands actually have Lume, which is something you don't always see at this price point. It's not Seiko-level brightness, of course, but hey, for a $7 watch, the fact that it even has Lume is a win. In low light, the glow is surprisingly visible, making it functional for quick time checks in the dark. But the real star here? The backlight. Press the light button, and you're greeted with a bluish-green glow that properly illuminates the digital panels. It's evenly lit clear and actually usable. None of that weak, uneven backlight nonsense you sometimes find on cheap watches. I honestly didn't expect much, but Skmei really delivered on this one. For a watch this affordable, having both Lume and a solid backlight is a huge plus. A lot of budget ANTDG watches struggle in this department, but this one holds its own. Definitely a pleasant surprise. Alright, let's get into the features. You'd think a $7 watch would just tell time and call it a day, right? No, this little guy is packed with functions. Some you'll use, and some you'll probably forget exist. 6-digit display. You get the hour, minute, second, year. Yes, it actually goes from 2000 to 2099. Month and day. So, if you somehow need to check the date in the year 2087, Skmei has you covered. 12 24-hour format. Whether you're a regular AM/PM person or a military time enthusiast, this watch lets you choose. World time, because why not? Now you can pretend you have international business meetings when you're just checking the time in Tokyo for fun. Stopwatch, perfect for timing your instant noodles or, actual workouts if you're into that. Countdown timer, great for setting deadlines you'll ignore anyway. 5 alarms plus hourly time signal. Set alarms for your morning wake-up, your lunch break, or just to remind yourself that yes, you do have responsibilities. And the hourly beep? That's just your little reminder that time is always moving. No pressure, electroluminescence backlight. Fancy name for a glow-in-the-dark button that actually works well. Power-saving function, because even a $7 watch cares about battery life more than your smartphone does. Honestly, for the price, this thing is feature-packed. It's almost like Skmei sat down and said, what else can we cram into this watch? And you know what? I'm not complaining. Now, let's wrap this up with some final thoughts. So, after spending some time with the Skmei 2328, here's the big question. Should you buy it? If you're looking for a tough-looking, feature-packed beater watch that costs less than a fast food meal, this is a solid choice. It gives you the G-Shock CasiOak aesthetic without the G-Shock price tag. It's lightweight, loaded with features, and actually looks pretty good on the wrist. Sure, it lacks true shock resistance and 200-meter water resistance, but let's be real. You're only paying $7. At this price, you could buy one for daily use, one as a backup, and still have money left over for coffee. So, who is this watch for? Budget buyers. If you love watches but don't want to spend big, this is a no-brainer. Beater watch fans need something replaceable that you can wear for work, outdoor activities, or just everyday rough use. Here you go. People afraid of losing their good watches. Keep your expensive Casio safe at home and wear this instead. If it gets lost or stolen, you won't even feel bad. Beginners or casual watch wearers. If you just need something functional and stylish without breaking the bank, this does the job. At the end of the day, the Skmei 2328 is a fun, affordable watch that punches way above its price tag. It may not be a real G-Shock, but for $7, it's hard to complain. Would I recommend it? If you like the look, absolutely. If you're expecting G-Shock durability, maybe not. But for what it is, a cheap, stylish, feature-packed watch, it's a great deal. And with that, I think that's the end of the video, guys. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed it, please consider subscribing and giving it a like. It really helps out the channel. Also, if you want to support the channel, check out our merch. Every purchase helps us grow and bring more awesome watch content. See you again in the next one. Bye for now.